So you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How you doing, Nathaniel?
It's been a busy week. Month ends, quarter ends are always like this for me. So how's everyone doing?
Good. The excitement is in the air for the first board meeting.
I'm just watching to see if who else is joining us. Let's see, Amy, Daniel, Brad, Blake, Diane, waiting on Erica Zierke on the board. Here she is.
If we were meeting in person, Brad and I were going to bring a bottle of champagne. So we'll
Dang those missed opportunities.
yeah, we'll hold that for the first in-person meeting.
With this big a group, we might need a few.
Yeah.
An actual real live cocktail happy hour.
They're coming back.
I know.
Oh, there's Erica. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You had Hugo Weinberger here. I joined on my phone. I'm getting on my computer Zoom. My internet's been spotty in the office, so I'll be on 2 times.
Thanks, Hugo.
Glad you could join, Hugo.
I'm sorry.
Guys.
Did you say you'll be on the camera soon?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. How soon is soon?
Here he is.
It's zooming right now.
Okay, perfect. Can give it another minute. Dan. There's Dan. Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right, there we go. Okay. All right, everybody. Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, April 28th at 2:32. And I would like to call to order the first meeting of the Englewood Downtown Development Authority Board. I'm Meryl Icove, and I am the administrative assistant for the DDA, and I'll also be serving as the secretary. We just want to note that we're holding this meeting remotely in compliance with the emergency ordinance regarding coronavirus issued by the city last March. And the meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the city's website. So first, I would like to introduce Hilarie Portell, the interim executive director of the Englewood Downtown Development Authority, who will make some introductory remarks.
Thanks, Meryl. As Dan Poremba said just a minute ago, this day's been a long time coming. The creation of a downtown development authority has been a key recommendation in every study and plan affecting downtown Inglewood since 2007. I had the opportunity to join with the city and with many of you over the last 2 years, thinking through this concept, doing the outreach, and getting us to a successful creation election of the DDA late last year. And it's really my privilege and honor to be able to help you get this organization up and running. And I look forward to working with all of you. Before we move on to our organizational meeting, we have a special guest. City Manager Sean Lewis has joined us, and he'd like to say a few words.
Thank you, Hilary, and welcome everybody to the first meeting. I second what Hilary said about this being a long time in coming, is even predating me. and my arrival here in September of 2019. And so I just want to start by thanking you for each of you for stepping up and applying for and agreeing to come on to this important board. I think of all of the things that the city is working on right now with regard to infrastructure and police reform, and just so many different components and elements of the community. I feel like the area where we have the most potential to really excel and to move forward, it's in this central business district, in the center, the core of the city. And you know, I think of it as kind of a marathon. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. But also in terms of where we are positioned within that marathon of cities, I think we're behind. And I think we've been behind for a long time. But I think with our development potential that we have, the investment that we're seeing, you know, in the hospital district, the potential investment in the historic downtown and in city center, I think all of those, all of that potential really gives us the ability to move ahead, to catch up first with some of our neighboring cities and cities throughout the state and frankly through the country. This is a national competition, if you will, for attracting the right business mix, for attracting the right talent to our community that wants to work and live here. And so I think we have the ability to catch up with all this potential. And then I think we have the ability to really rapidly move ahead and really become a destination community, a community of choice because of what we can do in the center of the city. We actually have our next Citizen magazine coming out in a couple of weeks. And one of the things that I just mentioned in there with regard to downtown is that, you know, it's the center of our city. It's a reflection of who we are as a community, particularly for that historic part. It's a reflection of where we came from and what we've been. And so, you know, from that standpoint, I think it's so amazing and wonderful that the council and you all and the residents and business owners, property owners within the district have seen fit to establish this. So that's a lot. I'll just close by saying I know you have a lot of work ahead of you, tons of decisions with regard to structure and TIF financing, and with regard to, you know, more things on the ballot potentially, and just a lot of difficult decisions, not to mention the fun stuff, all the fun design decisions that you have to make. But staff is here to help you and provide you with the information that you need to make those decisions. And certainly we want to support you and provide you with information, but we also don't want to become a de facto decision-making, you know, group. We are here to support you, to give you the information that you need to do your job. And so, yeah, we'll just close with that and saying thank you so much. And I look forward to working with you both individually, but more, you know, with the staff that is assigned to help you all. However I can support and help them, as well as you as a board. I'm helpful. I'm wanting to do that as well. So thanks a lot.
Great, thank you so much. So normally I would take the roll at this point, but since it's our first meeting, we'd like everyone to introduce themselves. So we'll start with the board. If you can introduce yourself, your affiliation, and let us know why you're involved in this effort. Blake, can you start us off?
Be the guinea pig. Blake Calvert with Core Consultants. We're new to the neighborhood. We purchased our building, gosh, back in 2019, but then did not move in until last October, late October of last year. And it's a little bit interesting renovating a building for office space in the corridor, wondering if people actually wanted to return to the office last year. But I'm happy to say the employees that have been starting to migrate in more and more are thrilled to be in Inglewood and really liking the new home, and then connecting with all the people throughout the city and all the businesses nearby for services and so forth. So thrilled to be a part of it and to help with the transformation in all the corridors, especially in the South Broadway area.
Great, thank you. Amy?
Hi there. My name is Amy Gallegos. I'm an optometrist in the Englewood Marketplace area, and I have been practicing in Inglewood since about 2005. Raised my son here. I'm sorry, did someone say something? I got a little feedback maybe.
There's a little echo.
Got it. And so I'm here because I want to see Inglewood thrive. As someone who's been here for a while and have a business here for a while and interact with the community on a daily basis, I'd really like to see this area be someplace to go to, not someplace just to drive through.
Meryl, you're on mute.
Sorry, Brad Nixon.
I'll give this a shot doing both video and audio. Excuse the construction noise in the background. I had to be here because I am waiting on some measurements for a countertop and kind of a critical element. Of course, they came right in the middle of this thing, so I couldn't have planned any worse. I am excited to be part of the DDA and have, I guess, it's just cool to see all the different people that are, coming to be on the board. I'm excited to serve with all of you guys. I own Nixon's Coffee House and Share Good Foods. So both Englewood businesses, we've been in the, in the area for 10 years, I guess 10 years plus now at this point. And I think Inglewood is a gem. I've always said that. It's a small town in a large city. And I think that, the things that we can do to be able to drive more people into the area, into the 3 distinct areas, I think is a great goal and a great charge for all of us to do that. So I'm real excited about this. I'll get off just in case my video and audio is a little bit choppy.
Thank you. Diane?
Hi, everyone. I'm Diane Reinhardt. I'm the Vice President for Patient Care Services and Chief Nursing Officer at Craig Hospital. I am in my 31st year at Craig, and we have been in our current location since the early 70s. More than 50% of our patients and families come from out of state. And so it's really important to us that we stay close to and are very vested in the success of Inglewood, so that it is a safe place for these patients and families to be while they're here with us. Our average length of stay is anywhere from 60 to 90 days. So they're here using the services here for quite a bit of time. So happy to be a part of this.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Sierra?
Good afternoon, everyone. Daniel Sierra. I'm City Council member and Mayor Pro Tem here in the city of Inglewood. I've been in Inglewood since 2009, and I ran 2 campaigns basically, telling the voters that I was looking to revitalize the city center and just downtown areas. So this has been very important to me. I'm happy to see that this is finally coming to fruition, and I'm happy to serve. So yeah, good to meet everyone that I haven't met before. So
Thank you. Great. Hugo?
Hello. I'm the one to echo. So.
I'm going to just try to talk through my phone. I think that'll work out better. Hello, Hugo Weinberger. We moved to Englewood in 1991 and bought the office buildings that we own still in 1994 and 96, the Wells Fargo and Chase Towers. We have a little bit over 100 businesses between our 2 office buildings. And I think it's a testament to Englewood and the location that we have within our city, which I think is a incredible one. I think it's close to where people live, where they want to be. It's easy to get to mass transit. And I'm very excited to be an advocate for the business owners and property owners in Englewood, but also to see the responsible redevelopment of city center and activating this real estate to really make Englewood into what I think it can be. So.
Great, thank you. And Erica.
Hi, I'm Erica Zerke. I own Inglewood Grand. We've been open on South Broadway for just over 5 years. And I also I've lived in Englewood since 2009, and we own a home right across the street from the hospital boundary line of the DDA. So I'm really personally and professionally interested in the success of Englewood's downtown. And I think I'm interested in really preserving and enhancing the character and the culture that we have downtown already. I want to build upon what we have and increase sort of a lot of quality of life type measures that we can take as a DDA. And I'm really interested in continuing some of the COVID adaptations that have taken place, like alley activation and these expanded outdoor seating areas and things that have brought a real vibrancy to the area and made it feel cleaner and safer and just more activated. So I'm really looking forward to working with all of you and getting to know you better. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Now we'll introduce the staff and consultant, Hilary P.
Yeah. I grew up in a small city in Eastern Washington called Yakima and have spent my whole career consulting and on staff in community development and downtown revitalization efforts. Have worked in many of the smaller communities around Colorado and got drawn to Inglewood because, like Sean Lewis just said, I think it has all the ingredients to be a really nice community of choice with a sense of identity and history that's in place already. I think Inglewood can do some things better than Denver has done in the last 10 years. And I look forward to working with you to make the downtown area more economically vibrant, connected, green, and safe.
Thank you. So again, my name is Meryl Icove, and I'm serving as administrative assistant for the DDA, and I'm also going to serve as the secretary. So I get that exciting seal. Fun. And I'm just really excited. I love working on things that are kind of just starting and being part of something at the beginning, because there's so much opportunity for creativity and innovation. And so I'm really looking forward to it. Hilary G.
Yeah, hi, I'm your second Hilary. I'm Hilary Graham from the law firm Hoffmann, Parker, Wilson, and Carberry. We are thus far the attorneys to the DDA. That's something we can talk about later, but that is a position that the board is able to hire and appoint. So consider me your interim attorney. The law firm specializes in municipal and special district law and has for decades. So I think you're in good hands. And like Meryl said, it's a rare opportunity to be able to start something from the ground up. So this is a really unique opportunity for me. I look forward to seeing this take off.
Great, thank you. Dan, can you introduce yourself and the other representatives from the city?
Be happy to. Thanks, Meryl. We'll go down our list just as everybody else did. So I'm Dan Poremba. I'm the Chief Redevelopment Officer for the City of Inglewood. I work within the Community Development Partner Department and report to Brad Power. I've had the good luck in my career of starting up a good number of special districts, many of them in urban environments, and really love this opportunity, particularly for the city of Inglewood, because as we've all kind of pointed out, there's a great opportunity here. I really think there's a great placemaking opportunity as well as we tie together the three areas of our downtown. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Brad Power.
Thanks, Dan. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brad Power. I'm the director of the Community Development Department. I've been here about 5 years, and in those 5 years, we've been able to do some pretty amazing things in this community, including adopting a new comprehensive plan for the community, completely reimagining our economic development program. We're embarking, as we speak, on a complete rewrite of our entire development code. But perhaps one of the more important things that's happened in my short tenure here has been the formation of the Downtown Development Authority. So on behalf of all 17 of us in the Community Development Department, on behalf of all of us, can pledge our assistance to you to ensure your success as what the most it can be in the years to come. We're really looking forward to working with you, and congratulations on your appointments.
Hey, next, let's go with Darren Hollingsworth, and then we'll go to Mark Tompkins.
Thank you, Dan. Good afternoon, everybody. Darren Hollingsworth, Economic Development Manager in the Community Development Department. I'm so pleased to be here today and see the DDA on its first day in formation as a board. Happy to be a resource for the DDA going forward and look forward to lots of opportunities to collaborate and move the needle forward for the city of Inglewood and the community. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mark Tompkins. I am a principal with Stray Advisory Services. We have been engaged since 2019, working with Dan and Brad to really think about how city can engage and work with the private sector to really implement some of the redevelopment ambitions that are related to the DDA area, specifically on the west side. So since 1996, I've been involved in real estate development, either in Denver, either on the private side. I spent 5 years on the public side. And then for the last 5 years, I've advised private firms and municipalities on just interacting together on projects. So my role is my role is primarily a financial one, to really try to advise the city on how to make all this stuff interlace together, along with all the great work you guys are going to do near term for activation in the DDA. So I asked if I could be a fly on the wall in the first DDA meeting to really be able to advise appropriately on next steps. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. I think we got everybody. Yeah, okay. So now we are going to turn to the rules of procedure. First, I wanted to note that with regard to the official posting of the public meetings of this board, we'll follow everybody there? Okay. We'll follow the city policy, the city council policy, and we will designate the city's website as the official posting place for all legal notices of the DDA for 2021. And the city's resolution was included in the meeting materials for your reference. So now I'm going to turn it over to Hilarie Graham to talk about the rules of procedure that was in your packet.
Hi, yeah, so you're going to have to listen to me for a few minutes here. We have a few kind of legal organizational things to go over. The first of which Meryl covered regarding the posting places. So we are now in compliance with the open meetings law on that. The first action you're poised to take as a board is to consider and approve rules of procedure. You're required to adopt these according to the DDA statute, which governs much of what you do. The statutes don't say what the rules have to contain, so we have prepared proposed rules of procedure based on things that have worked well elsewhere, and with some tweaks, just general wisdom, things like not requiring you to follow Robert's rules, allowing for streamlined procedure. One of my recommendations was to have a secretary who's not a board member, which is where Meryl comes in. That is a duty that under these proposed rules, the director can fulfill, or she can appoint somebody. So Hilary has effectively appointed Meryl to take on this role. That saves somebody from the board from having to do these duties, which after you see all the work Meryl put in, I think you'll agree that was a good choice. So the rules of procedure do require a chair, vice chair, and a treasurer, which we will proceed to appoint after the rules are adopted, presuming that they are. I don't think there's much really unusual in the rules of procedure. If you've been on other bodies, I think it will all look quite familiar. It does call out that the budget is approved according to state law. There has to be a certain public process followed. And then as an EDDA or as a DDA, the city council also has to approve your budget. It requires regular meetings, which we'll talk about later, setting a regular meeting date. it requires open meetings, which are required under the law anyway. And that's a good segue into a few things that I think are good legal background that I've prepared a memo for you. I'll send it out after the meeting. We wanted to avoid burying you in too much stuff, but the memo covers how the Open Meetings Law applies, the Open Records Act of Colorado applies to these endeavors, and just kind of gives you a foundation of what your role is as a board member. So that said, I will be happy to answer questions about the proposed rules. And if they appear to be in order, you can proceed to adopt them. That adoption would occur by resolution.
Brad Power, I saw you had your hand raised earlier.
Hilary, can we get the view of everyone?
It's not me. I'm not running it. I don't know who is.
No, Hilary P.
Okay, Hilary P.
Hilary, I just had one observation. I know that most boards and commissions have a public comment period, and I believe that might have been under number 4. I'm not sure if there's anybody from the public on the call, but most of our boards and commissions in town do have that period. So if you don't have one today, we definitely probably would want the board to consider adding that at some point. But again, I don't know
Yeah,
if
Brad,
there's
actually,
members of the public waiting.
Sorry, Brad, not to step on over you. That is actually covered in the memo that I will send out. The board can certainly choose to allow public comment. It's not required, and it can be required as appropriate according to the agenda item. So that's something that the board can decide going forward. For this meeting, there wasn't really any need to allow public comment. So the decision was made administratively to keep this as a business meeting, but we can talk about that.
Okay, I apologize for interrupting that flow. Sorry about that.
No, no worries.
Are there any other comments on the rules of procedure or questions, concerns?
Do you need a motion to approve them?
Yeah, the motion would be to approve the resolution, and Meryl, we can designate this resolution number 1.
Yes, we do. Hilary P, is it possible to stop sharing your screen? So there we go. Thank you. Okay, so I couldn't see you guys. So did somebody make that motion?
I can make the motion to approve the rules of procedure. Is that what it
Okay,
is?
so board member Weinberger has made a motion to adopt the rules of procedure. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Who was that?
It's Brad Nixon. I'll second.
Okay. Thank you. It's a little hard to see who's speaking. Okay, thank you. So Brad Nixon has seconded the motion. Before we take a vote, I just want to let you know that at least as far as we know to this point, we do need to do a roll call vote for every vote with reading out everyone's name. It's required for Zoom, and down the road we can circle back and see if it's a requirement specifically that we also have to comply with. Yes,
Meryl,
Hilary.
can I suggest that the motion be amended to approve the resolution adopting the rules? It's really just a technicality, but if that's an amendment that both are willing to make. Okay.
I will.
Thank you.
I will read it. From my understanding, it does say that. So let me read what I have is a motion regarding the resolution adopting the rules of procedure. That's what I have as the motion. Okay. Okay. So, Member Calvert.
Yes.
Member Gallegos.
Yes.
Member Nixon.
Yes.
Member Reinhardt.
Yes.
Council Member Sierra.
Yes.
Member Weinberger,
Yes.
Member Zierke.
Yes.
All right, let the record show we have 7 ayes and 0 nays. The motion is passed. Boom. Okay, thank you so much. We are going to move on to the election of officers. We're going to elect a slate of officers. The offices are chair, vice chair, and treasurer. So are there any nominations for those positions?
We've had 3 volunteers. Erica Zierke has volunteered to serve as chair, Blake Calvert as vice chair, and Brad Nixon as treasurer. I don't know that I'm the one to nominate, however.
You can self-nominate. So chair, does someone want to nominate for the chairperson?
I nominate Erica as the chair for the
Excellent.
DDA.
Okay, vice chair. Is there a nomination?
I nominate Blake for vice chair.
Thank you. And treasurer.
I nominate Brad Nixon for treasurer.
Thank you. Is there a motion to elect this slate?
I make a motion to elect the slate.
That's Hugo, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So Hugo has made a motion to elect Erica Zierke as chairperson, Blake Calvert as vice chair, and Brad Nixon as treasurer of the board. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Amy. All right, so we're going to vote on this slate. Member Calvert.
Aye.
Member Gallegos.
Yes.
Member Nixon.
Yes.
Member Reinhardt.
Yes.
Council Member Sierra.
Aye.
Member Weinberger.
Yes.
And Member Zierke.
Aye.
Okay, so let the record show 7 ayes and 0 nays. The motion is passed. Moving on to regular meeting. Staff is proposing a regular meeting time as the 4th Wednesday of each month at 3:30. Do we need discussion, or is someone ready to move to adopt that?
I'll move to adopt that.
I'm sorry, who spoke?
Erica.
Thank you, Erica. All right, so. Member Zierke has made a motion to adopt a regular meeting time of the 4th Wednesday of each month at 3:30 p.m. Is there a second?
Second. Diane Reinhardt.
Thank you. All right, we'll now take a vote. Member Calvert.
Yes.
Member Gallegos.
Yes.
Member Nixon.
Yes.
Member Reinhardt.
Yes.
Member Sierra, Councilperson Sierra.
Yes.
And Member Zucker.
Yes.
All right, like the record show, we have 7 ayes and 0 nays. The motion is passed. Okay, moving on to number 6. We will now turn to Dan to talk about the partnership and the IGA. And congratulations to our chairperson, Erica.
I think Erica kind of runs things from now on, right? Okay, so let me get back to.
We're feeling more official every step of the way here.
Okay, Dan, here you are.
So Hilary Hilary P asked me to talk just a little bit about the overall partnership with the city, and then the 3 elements to specifically talk about today, starting with the intergovernmental agreement between the DDA and the city of Inglewood. So the document that you have in your packet and we'll be considering a resolution for is a fairly standard approach to the agreement between the DDA and its municipality. We've gone through this on the city side and the DDA council side a number of times, have made a number of changes to reflect the specifics of the relationship that's anticipated going forward. And we also looked at in some detail IGAs, intergovernmental agreements from other jurisdictions, in most detail, Longmont and Castle Rock. And so on behalf of the city and the various city departments who play an ongoing support role for the DDA, we're really comfortable with the structure of this agreement and the fact that it's very in line with other agreements used in other communities of similar size. And I think you'll see that it basically contemplates a lot of support coming from the city, both in this case, in terms of budget and support services from the entire roster of city departments. So, and a lot of that will really be coordinated by Hilarie Portell, and I'll be there to act as largely as her supportive assistant and liaison in terms of reaching the city departments that are necessary to help affect the priorities of the DDA going forward. So just a little bit of background on the proposed document that you'll be voting on here shortly. Any questions?
Do we need to vote on this now?
We do, yes.
I have a question, Dan and Hilary P. The recitation of the city contribution in section 4.1, it recites 150,000. I see in the budget that the community development department is also throwing in 50,000. So does that money need to be reflected somewhere?
I don't think so, Hilary, because that's really the subject of a standalone agreement between the community development department and Portell Works on an interim basis.
Okay.
Are there any other questions before we vote?
Need a motion?
Hilary, may I please see everyone, if you don't mind?
I'm not sure. Forgive me, everybody. I'm not sure how to keep your faces on the screen when I'm sharing the documents on the city's meeting platform. So we'll try to rectify that on the next meeting.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement with the city of Inglewood?
I'll move to adopt the resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement.
Thank you, Erica. Is there a second? Who was that?
Hugo.
Thank you. Hugo has seconded the motion. We'll now take a vote on the motion to adopt the resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement with the city of Inglewood. Member Calvert.
Yes.
Member Gallegos.
Yes.
Member Nixon.
Yes.
Member Reinhardt.
Yes.
Councilmember Sierra.
Yes.
Member Weinberger.
Yes.
And Member Zierke.
Yes.
I'm saying that correctly, yeah?
It's Zierke.
Zierke, okay. I will try to remember that. Okay, so let the record show, 7 ayes, 0 nays. The motion is passed. And then Dan is gonna continue to talk about B and C.
Yes, just a little bit of background for the board in terms of 2021 funding. You may recall that the DDA was established in the November 2020 election. 2 of the 4 ballot questions were approved. Unfortunately, one of the ballot questions that pertained to the mill levy to support operational expenses of the DDA was slightly defeated. So the DDA, as of today, does not have that as a funding mechanism. So the plan going forward, at least for this year and then possibly subsequent years, is for the city to advance operational funding on a loan basis to the DDA to be funded from TIF, incremental sales tax revenues, as those are generated and received, subject to city council approval of that mechanism. So what's likely, long story short, going to happen is that this will initially be a grant of funds from the city in the amount of $150,000. That grant will be converted to a loan at the point that council approves the particular use of sales tax increment as the repayment mechanism. It's possible that this approach could also be necessary in subsequent years, but it's one that's not atypical in terms of city support, and it'll allow the DDA to get an early start rather than waiting for a later operational funding mechanism to be put in place. I think one of the early opportunities is also to seek out grant funding opportunities for the DDA, and that may reduce the dependence on the city loan and tax increment collections to fund operational costs. But the good news is we've kind of patched together, a $200,000 package that is what was actually outlined in the downtown plan for the first year of operations under the scenario that we're now operating under. So a little bit of background there, and you'll be seeing in future meetings more specifics that relate to this whole approach. Then I'll jump to item 6C, which is, and Hilary, Portell, you may have some additional detail on this. One of the nice things that happened is that Sean Lewis, our city manager, who's a huge fan of downtown development authorities, by the way, if you hadn't picked that up, and is really one of the strengths that we're operating from here, had recently approached city council with a supplemental budget request that included quite a menu of downtown improvement projects. And I don't have the specific list in front of me, but it included a number of landscape projects, initial funding for design of some overhead decorative lighting, Erica, one of your long-term babies, and just really a number of other really nice downtown improvement projects. And so one of the things we are envisioning, and this will take further definition as the DDA staff and city staff work together to prioritize, is that the DDA, with your ongoing guidance, can really provide some ongoing outreach and even project management coordination of these projects. And in doing so, I think one of our hopes is that the DDA can not only play a really useful and valuable role, but can actually be perceived as immediately delivering real project to its downtown constituency. And so it's really just it's a blessing to have this come along right when it did, because it will allow you as the DDA board members to touch a much bigger scope of projects across the entire downtown area and see how those projects fit into the downtown plan. Fortunately, many of them line up with the priorities of the downtown plan really nicely. So it'll get you involved in a number of very interesting projects and hopefully get the Downtown Development Authority a lot of good credit for its role in that participation. And I apologize, I don't have the list of projects Hilary, I don't know if you have those or want to go through them at this time or want to reserve that for our next meeting.
It's actually, I'll go through it in the proposed plan presentation.
Perfect, thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any questions or discussion for Dan? Okay, we'll move on to number 7. Is that you, Hilary?
Is.
Okay.
Thanks, Erica. I'm presenting a proposed 2021 plan and budget today. I'm not asking for board approval of this since it's the first time you've seen it. Typically, I would have worked up to this through several meetings, and by the time I present a plan, you would know exactly what's in it. I didn't have that opportunity this year because you all weren't in your appointed roles yet. So what I've based this on is several things. Number one, the 18-month economic recovery strategy that's set forth in the Englewood Downtown Plan. Number two, research into the available funding from the city as well as through federal economic recovery funds coming through the state of Colorado, looking to where we could leverage resources. And then number three, I really tried to pick up on key themes that I heard expressed by DDA board applicants when you all did your interviews with City Council a few weeks ago. And the things I heard that sort of stood out from the 14 different applicants was make downtown more connected, make it clean and safe and accessible to everybody, market downtown as a destination for consumers and new investment, and focus on feasible, impactful projects in the first year. And do all of that while enhancing our small city identity. So that's what I tried to stick with in this. And I tried to write it in such a way that you have options on, how you want to go this year. So real quick, kind of walking you through here. The goals this year are to support economic recovery of downtown stakeholders. People are still digging out, some are still in crisis. It's a long road ahead. Number two, leverage city downtown investments and the initial projects that were recently funded through the supplementary budget. Number three, secure sustainable operational and project funding. While we have this initial startup funding from the city and the opportunity to compete for economic recovery grants this year, we don't have a long-term funding source to sustain the DDA's operations and, more importantly, to invest in downtown projects that improve quality of life and economic vitality for everyone. Number four, ensure professional administration of the DDA and its programs. This is a very specialized effort. The DDA is a government entity, as you have no doubt picked up on with your board packet. It needs to be managed professionally in compliance with all local and state regulations. Okay, so under strategies and actions, the administrative bullet points are all of the things we really are doing right now and have done to date, getting the DDA up and running. You recall in the downtown plan, there's several sections. Economic development is one of them. So under economic development, secure sustainable funding for projects, support downtown businesses, and keep stakeholders informed every step of the way. So the first one here is a biggie, to consider supporting a Tabor election this fall to authorize the use of debt to back tax increment financing bonds for larger public improvement projects and catalyst development projects and quality of life projects that are consistent with the Englewood Downtown Plan. If we move forward with that election, there needs to be considerable outreach, more communication, more comprehensive communication than we were able to do last year. We were hobbled last year. We couldn't physically go and talk to anybody because of the COVID-related shutdowns. It was a very complicated ballot. There was a lot to communicate. There was a lot of economic disruption and crisis that was unfolding at the time. Some of the concerns we heard from people unsure of that ballot item were that they didn't feel comfortable with the government action generally. They thought it was too related to development. They were worried about their rent going up or their property taxes going up. So sort of confusion about the tax implications of TIF bonding. And it was difficult to clarify those concerns without having any ability to meet with people or have public forums. We did what we could on Zoom and we relied on direct mail. But if we undertake this again, we need to have a clearer message about all the things that TIF can do to improve downtown and really do some more comprehensive outreach. So I've proposed that in this plan. Support business recruitment and development in the downtown district. That's where we're working closely with Darren Hollingsworth and his program, getting our arms around the market data downtown, helping recruit new businesses and new developers to the district consistent with the Englewood Downtown Plan, and assisting businesses with regulatory questions and concerns, access to city programs. We can really be a liaison to downtown businesses and try to help them navigate the bureaucratic process where we can. Here's the clean and safe category. I'm proposing not a comprehensive maintenance program at this time, but quarterly cleanups along the two main streets, the South Broadway segment in the district and the Old Hamden segment in the district, really focusing on cleaning up sidewalks, curbs, the grit, any graffiti, stains, trash, litter, all of those little things can make a big impact when they're not there. And they make people feel welcome and comfortable and willing to stay in an area longer. So I'm a big proponent of the little things really matter and they really add up. We should be working with the police on a consistent basis to track any patterns of crime and safety in the district, offering up information to downtown stakeholders about how to make their property and businesses safer, and convening any forums that are necessary if we do have a specific crime pattern that we need to address. Under marketing, position downtown Englewood as an attractive consumer destination and investment. I did not recommend a full-blown rebranding campaign because we don't have the money to do it. And I don't think it's really necessary at this time. The Downtown Matters identity seemed to create positive momentum for the downtown area and a sense of sort of enthusiasm. So what I recommended is we simply evolve that brand and create a polished but very cost-effective marketing program, including a downtown webpage that will be housed on the city's website, an e-newsletter tool so that we can communicate with downtown stakeholders, a public engagement page. You might have seen Englewood Engaged. It's a new forum that the city has launched where agencies or commissions with a project that is seeking public comment can post information about that project and who to talk to for questions and answers and when the next meeting is coming up and so forth. So we'll have projects on the engagement page from time to time. Presentation templates, basic stationery, etc. We'll be looking to promote tangible signs of economic recovery and momentum. I'm looking for business reopenings, new businesses moving to town, business expansions, new development, things that communicate to the greater market. Hey, downtown Englewood's on the way up. We ought to take a look there. We should go check out that new restaurant, that new wine bar. I'll be working with the city communications department to extend the reach of many of our communications. Placemaking, this is about making downtown more connected, more accessible and safe for everyone. So here are the projects that are currently underway that the DDA can have a role in. The city right now is doing the planning and engineering for improvements to the Highway 285 and Southampton interchange and the bridges there. So we'll have an opportunity to weigh in on what we think would be improvements there. Several people, I think we reached out to Diane and a few accessibility advocates on design of crosswalks and sidewalks and making sure that people of all ages and abilities have time to get across the street in a very, very busy, high traffic area. The Parks Department is working on enhancements to the Little Dry Creek Park right now. So that's another design and planning project underway that we will be a stakeholder for. Then these projects in these two bullets are the three new ones that have been partially or fully funded through the supplementary budget. One is enhanced crosswalks on South Broadway. That includes the crosswalk at the Paseos, as well as one that's been planned for a long time at the Gothic Theater section. And then the marquee lights over Broadway idea. The money has been put aside for that. Then the other biggie here is complete street design for Old Hamden. That's a big project, and it's all about making Old Hamden behave more like a mixed-use Main Street and be more pedestrian friendly, more multimodal, safer for everyone, despite their age, their background, their ability. We have lots of vulnerable communities up, not just in the medical district, but close to downtown as well. Older community members with disabilities, community members who are utilizing the hospitals and trying to manage chronic illness. So this whole notion of safety and vulnerable communities and accessibility is a real theme for our district. Also, the communications department has funded a wayfinding project, that's signage citywide, that includes new signage for the downtown district, directing people to each of the 3 sub areas downtown. And so we'll be looking at those designs and perhaps even helping fund fabrication and installation of signs in the downtown district. Under mobility, there's an opportunity right now to engage with developers that are interested in doing multifamily developments in the downtown area to get some funding for multimodal improvements. Other cities have done programs like this. We're not sure what it looks like right now. This is one that Dan Poremba has brought to my attention. And I'm recommending that we set aside some money to hire a transportation demand management consultant to help us figure that out. Related to that is this whole question of microtransit and the Inglewood trolley service, and whether that can be improved and expanded to better serve different segments of the community that are in downtown, working at night, coming and going at different times of day. And then the last category, again, this all sort of aligns with the Inglewood Downtown Plan, is advocacy, and really working on partnerships that benefit everybody who utilizes our downtown area. The Greater Inglewood Chamber of Commerce will be a major partner of the Downtown Development Authority. They were a big advocate throughout the Downtown Matters Planning initiative all last year, and we look forward to aligning our efforts and supporting theirs as well. We'll also be working with the Historical Society, the Cultural Arts Commission, accessibility advocates, all of the civic players that play a role in a healthy and vibrant downtown area. I think we need to take a look at the COVID era policy decisions that allowed many of the local businesses to operate during extreme restrictions all last year, and see about extending those to help our local businesses as they come out of the economic emergency they've been in. So that's the outdoor patio expansion policy, the common consumption area, and the ability to activate alleys. And then the last bullet is one of the most important. It's just working with other groups to problem solve as needed in the downtown district. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
I have a question.
Sorry.
I just have a quick question. And so if we were to work with any homeless advocacy groups or anyone in that domain, would that be in that last bullet point?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hilary, thanks for such an awesome starting point. This is really thorough. I think you've thought through a whole bunch of things I'm really excited about the possibilities in the plan. Is your hope that we have time, take this and kind of review it and put together our thoughts and discuss this at a future meeting? Or should we discuss this now? Or are we trying to vote on this at this meeting?
Right now, all we're asking is that we set a time and place for the budget public hearing. We have to have a public hearing to adopt a budget. And so what I'm suggesting is a public hearing on May 26th, which would be the May meeting of the board. And in between, on May 12th, that we dedicate a working session to the whole topic of tax increment financing. So we can really talk through what the data says, what concerns people have, questions you might have, what a campaign might look like, and whether you want to pursue that or not.
Okay, so we kind of need to agree to the operational plan, but not formally in order to formally agree to the budget, correct?
That's correct. This can be modified, and I would expect that we would be refining it before you adopt it.
Okay, so unless anyone on the board objects, I would say we should take this and review it ourselves. And then at our working session that you've proposed for, did you say May 12th?
Let's see. Yes, Wednesday, May 12th at 3 p.m.
So I would say that we should include time on the agenda that day to discuss the operations plan draft as well. Any objections to that?
That's not the budget hearing date. That's the TIF date,
Correct.
Hilary.
Yeah, the working. So Erica, as I understand your proposal, that we would dedicate some time during the working meeting on May 12th to discussion of the operational plan and budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't need a vote on this, correct? We can just move to your budget draft at this point?
Actually,
Correct.
okay. Do we need to set the budget hearing though? Hilary?
We do. That's 7C.
Okay, let me, sorry.
That's after,
So we're
after
finished.
of the budget.
We're just finishing
So
Q&A right now, correct? And we can go
Right,
and
so-
go over the budget separately?
Correct.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I jumped ahead.
Okay.
Shoot. Okay, so, oh, this takes a second. Sorry. Sorry, I gotta get over here again. Okay. 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 Can you guys see this?
No, it's not visible.
How about that?
There you go.
Okay. Okay, so this budget aligns with the plan that I just proposed. And it assumes the $200,000 in startup funds from the city of Inglewood that would be repaid as a loan. It does allow for government grants. We are eligible for potentially 3 grant programs. One is through CDOT, and that's it's called a Main Street Revitalization Grant, and that's all about projects that enhance access, safety, access to local businesses, and multimodal efforts. The American Rescue Act that Congress has already passed has a line item in it for small business support related to COVID disruption. So I'll be working with Darren to analyze what is the policy going, or what are the criteria going to be from the state of Colorado. They haven't released that yet. Is there something the DDA could apply for that would complement and not repeat what the city is also trying to do through its economic development program? And then the American Jobs Act is the infrastructure bill, and it could have money in there for an infrastructure project. I mean, maybe we could piece together more grant funding to put toward the Southampton improvements. So that's something that we're looking at, but so is the Public Works Department. They would be the lead on a project like that. Under expenses, we have management services. So what I'm proposing is 2 part-time independent contractors. The executive director would be no more than 20 hours a week at $75 an hour. The assistant would be up to 10 hours a week at $30 an hour. There is no taxes, insurance, benefits, office, or equipment included in that. The independent contractors are responsible for those costs themselves. The DDA board and staff would have liability insurance. We can purchase that through the Special District Association of Colorado. It's an insurance pool, so they bring the cost down to a pretty reasonable level. Legal services is a big line item during this startup period, and kind of the need for guidance for both board and staff, and potentially legal support for a Tabor campaign if that goes forward. I have a line item in here for Tabor election administration. That's a very specialized thing to do, and we would need to contract out for it. That person would work with DDA staff as well as the city clerk to make sure that the campaign was run according to all regulations. Communications and printing. This is kind of the whole startup of getting a new brand, some basic marketing tools in place, setting up the web page, the public engagement page, providing the communication support for Tabor election outreach if we do that. We need to have money for mailings. Not everybody receives e-newsletters or wants e-newsletters, so we need to make sure we're staying in touch with stakeholders directly to their doorstep where we can. I put some money in here for events, both to sponsor city events in the downtown district, such as the block party and a new farmers market that may happen in the medical district. Also to sponsor merchant directed events. So if there's a group of restaurants that want to do a restaurant tour or a special promotion or a holiday themed thing, we could potentially support their efforts with some funding. But I'm not proposing that the DDA direct events at this time. We just don't have the resources for that. And I don't want to interfere with popular traditions that are already in place in the downtown area, but rather work to enhance those and leverage them. Under mobility, here's the funding proposal for the multimodal program planning effort. I put aside funds for clean and safe for 2 quarterly cleanups on South Broadway and Old Hamden, and crime and safety programs if needed. Operations is basic office supplies, meeting expenses, miscellaneous expenses. And then I always have a contingency line item. We're a startup. We want to be nimble. We want to be flexible and take advantage of opportunities if they arise, and change our plans if we need to. So I put some money aside for unanticipated costs and opportunities.
Thanks, Hilary. So again, with this, we should take this, absorb it, think about it, and then at our public budget hearing will be the time to make proposals for changes. Is that correct?
Yes.
Procedurally? Okay. Are there any questions about the process or procedure right now? No? Okay. So let's talk about the date and time for the budget hearing and what the public hearing needs to look like.
Where am I?
You want me to cover that?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, Hilary, you can cover that and I'll get the document.
Okay, so the budget hearing can be at your regular meeting. That's set for May 26th at 3:30. It will be a hearing within the meeting, and we'll provide you direction on how to run the hearing as needed. But the hearing is preceded by published notice to comply with the local government budget law. After the DDA approves the budget, it will go to the city council for their approval. And this process is typically done in the fall for the new fiscal year, but you didn't exist then. So you're catching up in 2021. And then for 2022, you'll do this in September, October of this year. If there are changes to an adopted budget, as there are and will be, you also have the opportunity at the end of 2021 to adopt an amended budget that kind of squares things up. So we will talk about that as needed. You're somewhat limited this year because we know your funds are going to be pretty limited. So you can slice and dice how you spend the 200,000, but you're obviously not going to spend more than that. So that's all.
Does this require any kind of vote to establish the public hearing?
It does. There's a resolution in your packet, the resolution accepting the budget as. So you're simply acknowledging it. You're not approving it now, but you're accepting the budget, setting the public hearing. And if the motion could specify the date of the public hearing, that would be helpful.
It does.
Does it?
Can you see
Yeah,
the resolution?
I can read the resolution language. Not the specific what's written there, but basically it's a resolution, adopting a resolution accepting the proposed budget for 2021 and setting the public budget hearing for consideration and adoption for Wednesday, May 26th at 3:30 p.m. So are there questions about that before we move forward on it? Okay.
I guess my
Sorry, I guess my only question, are we going to have a chance to discuss this budget before we have the public hearing? Where if we're meeting monthly and we're meeting after, if the hearing's at 3 and our meeting's at 3:30, do we have to have a time that we can circle up on any questions or things like that? Or is this just something that we could approve and change down the road if needed and kind of procedural start?
I'd say both. You could certainly add budget discussion to your work session, the May 12th meeting, but the public hearing can be a discussion time for the board as well. So you do have to allow a time for public, but other than that, the board can discuss among itself if it wishes to make changes.
Got it. So that could be a time where we can discuss the budget with public hearing, make any changes or amendments before we finally vote on it. Okay.
Hilary G, can I just clarify? So in general terms, what we're talking about is during the TIF work session, we will also be discussing the budget in general, as we talked about earlier. And then at the budget hearing, there will be the discussion and potentially finalization of the budget.
Correct.
So is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And
so,
I would add, oh, go ahead.
Can there be, after the work session, the TIF work session, can that end with a new proposed budget that then we can give notice of before the budget hearing?
Depending on timing, the published notice doesn't include the budget itself. It simply says that the budget's available for review. So it's possible that would work.
Okay.
And it also doesn't specify how far in advance the published notice needs to occur. So we can talk about that. It's also possible that in May, if the board hasn't reached agreement, it can still hold the hearing, but not actually adopt the budget. So it could push it off to June if there wasn't agreement on it.
So Hilary P, if we can see everybody again, please. Thank you. Okay, so I'm assuming there's no more discussion necessary about this right now. Okay, so I will read the language. So it would be a motion to adopt a resolution accepting the proposed budget for 2021 and setting the public budget hearing for consideration and adoption for Wednesday, May 26th at 3:30 p.m. Hilary G, is there any need to modify that language given how we're going to modify the TIF work session language?
No.
Okay, so if anyone wants to move for that, please feel free.
I'll move.
Thank you, Erica. Erica has made a motion to adopt a resolution accepting the proposed budget for 2021 and setting the public budget hearing for consideration and adoption for Wednesday, May 26th at 3:30 p.m. Is there a second?
Second.
Who was that?
Blake.
That's Blake.
Okay,
My
thank
name
you.
went away off there, sorry.
Thank you. Okay, Blake has seconded the motion and we will now take a vote. Member Calvert.
Yes.
Member Gallegos.
Yes.
Member Nixon.
Yes.
Member Reinhardt.
Yes.
Council Member Sierra.
Yes.
Member Weinberger.
Yes.
And Member Zerke.
Yes.
Okay, let the record show we have 7 ayes and 0 nays. The motion is passed. Okay.
So now we need to schedule the work session on the tax increment financing. It's been proposed for Wednesday, May 12th at 3 o'clock. This will also include time to discuss the proposed operations plan and the proposed budget.
The time doesn't work for me. I'm out of town, unfortunately. With that said, I think on the TIFs, if it's something that can be recorded, I could definitely digest that and learn. Relating to the budget, I could probably provide comments before that meeting as well.
Okay. Should we proceed with that date? Should we try to find a date that works for everyone? Hugo, do you have another date near then that works for you that you'd want to toss out?
I'm going on my first trip in a long time from the 12th to the 19th. I'm pretty excited. Outside of those dates, I can generally make myself available. Would we want to maybe pick the week before? I think I could potentially do the afternoon of the 19th. I get in, I think, that morning. I can double check my schedule. And again, I want to keep the process moving forward. And if it works for 6 out of 7, that might be as good as we get for something that we didn't have any notice for before.
How would folks feel about the week prior, say May 5th? Availability on May 5th?
I think the challenge there, Erica, is that our consultant will not have tax data from the city available to analyze so that he can present information. Yeah.
Okay. So is everyone else available on the 12th? Is everyone except for Hugo available? Great.
Yes.
And it'll be recorded, so Hugo, you can catch up and email concerns or thoughts. And then we also have the discussion period at the public hearing. So your voice will be heard.
Wonderful. Okay.
So do we need to vote on setting that meeting or?
We do. However, I'm going to defer to Hilary G for a moment to tell us the specific language that we'll need since we're adding some things into this resolution and changing the date.
Well, I don't think this is by resolution. This is just by motion. So it's just by motion. We will set the date. And then it's always up to the chair in cooperation with the director to set the agenda. So we don't need to specify the agenda now.
Okay.
Okay. So then let me clarify the motion. So the motion would be to set, to hold the tax increment financing work session on Wednesday, May 12th at 3 p.m. Is that appropriate, Hilary?
Sure,
Or
it
do we
could
need-
even be more general. It could just be hold a work session. You don't need to specify the topic.
Okay. So it doesn't even have to say that it's regarding funding or budget or anything, just a work session. Okay. Are people comfortable with that generality?
I'm okay with that, but actually, can we propose the time for 3:30 just because I pick up my son at 3 o'clock and I'm sitting in my car for that reason at the moment.
Sure.
Okay.
Do we have a motion for that?
I move that we do our work session on Wednesday, the 12th at 3:30 for reviewing the TIF and also to work through the other things as itemized already.
Okay, so we have a motion to hold a work session on Wednesday, May 12th at 3:30 p.m. Brad has moved for that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is that Diane?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Diane has seconded the motion. We will now take our last vote. Okay. Blake. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Member Calvert.
Yes.
Member Gallegos.
Yes.
Member Nixon.
Yes.
Member Reinhardt.
Yes.
Council Member Sierra.
Aye.
Member Weinberger.
How do I vote for the meeting I can't attend? Okay.
You can still vote
abstain.
to have the meeting that day, basically. And Member Zerke, Chair Zerke.
Yes.
Okay, so let the record show 7 ayes and 0 nays. The motion is passed.
Okay, staff choice,
Eric, could I interject myself for one?
please.
Probably mind-numbing detail. The rules of procedure don't distinguish between work sessions. They don't call out work sessions. So what you've essentially done is set a special meeting, which is completely fine. But the rules that you just adopted will require emailed notice 2 days prior to the meeting of this meeting. But since you all agreed to set it, I'm thinking we could probably waive that. So if that's okay with you and going forward when you're setting work sessions or special meetings, if you could just specify that you'll waive the need for additional notice, that would be helpful. I don't think it's a big deal, but just trying to establish good habits early on.
Can you talk with me later about the difference between the regular notice and notice for that? Okay.
Okay, staff's choice.
I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Neither do I.
Board members' choice.
I do have one question. I wanted to know if the work session is actually public or not.
Yeah, all of your meetings are going to be public. Any gathering of 3 of you or more needs to be noticed in advance according to the open meetings law. There are some limited circumstances where you could open a public meeting and then go into a private executive session, but that would have to be planned. So yeah, as a general premise, all your meetings are open.
And anything that involves 3 or more is considered a meeting, whether it's by phone, by email, et cetera, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And just to clarify, that's only if we're discussing DDA business, correct? Okay. If we're
You
all
mean if-
out at Inglewood Grand, but we're not talking about the DDA, that's not considered a meeting. Okay.
Are you inviting us?
Yes, please. Come on down.
Awesome. I'm excited. Okay, is there any further business?
No, just a quick question though. So in the future, when we are able to meet in public, is that our goal? Are we trying to meet on Zoom forever?
My understanding is as of now, we're going to follow the lead of the city. So once the city makes a decision regarding in-person meetings for city council, et cetera, that would be our inclination to follow that policy. So we'll just keep you posted on what we hear.
And then when it's time to be in person, are we in the city center?
I don't know where we'll be. I'll have to find that out.
Yeah, we haven't determined a standing location for meetings yet.
I liked the Englewood Grand idea.
Perfect. The audio will be great.
Yeah, I think just on behalf of the city, I think we'll try to keep it out of this Civic Center building. I think we support the idea of the DDA kind of establishing its own, culture, own vibe. And there's probably some other good meetings that you all can, meeting places that you can pick from.
Okay. We'll talk about that when it's time to convene in person again.
Might be a nice way to bring in a community member too, because there might be a business that has a meeting room or something that they would want to donate the time or something like that, which would be great. Okay, is there any further business?
Actually, I'll just chime
Okay,
in.
great.
As just to let everyone know, in terms of just meeting back in person, City Council is looking at the first Monday in June, which would be the 7th. We haven't had a discussion about boards or commissions coming back, but I would assume that once City Council goes back, same would hold true for city boards and commissions.
I think that seems reasonable.
Okay.
Thanks, Councilman.
Great. Thank you for that information. Is there any further business? All right. Okay, since there is no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 3:56 p.m. Boom.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you,
a nice
everyone.
afternoon.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Nice to meet
Thanks.
everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.